On December 29, 1968, at Shea Stadium in Queens, New York, the 11-3 New York Jets won a close contest against the reigning AFL champs, the 12-2 Oakland Raiders, by a score of 27-23. On the same day, the 13-1 Baltimore Colts traveled to Cleveland Municipal Stadium in Ohio and absolutely dismantled the 10-4 Cleveland Browns, who were the only team that had beat them during the regular season. The victors of the contests would meet one another in the third annual AFL-NFL World Championship game, and for the first time the game would be classified as the Super Bowl. Super Bowl III, January 12, 1969. The time, 3:05 Eastern. For the second straight season, the game was hosted by Miami, Florida's Orange Bowl. On a 73-degree windy day under an overcast sky, with 75,389 in attendance, the game pitted the Baltimore Colts, the champions of the NFL, and the then still believed superior league, against the AFL champs, the New York Jets, an 18-point underdog. The game was broadcast solely by NBC, charging $55,000 for a 30-second commercial. With future Hall of Fame quarterback Johnny Unitas of the Baltimore Colts injured for the entirety of the regular season, the Colts had looked to quarterback Earl Morrall, who played fantastic in relief and won the NFL regular season MVP. Even with Johnny Unitas, a 3-time NFL MVP, healthy and cleared to play, Colts head coach Don Shula stuck with Morrall as the starter for the Super Bowl contest. The New York Jets, on the other hand, ironically led by head coach Weebu Bank, formerly a winner of 2 NFL titles with the Colts in 1958 and 1959, who was later fired after a poor 7-7 season following 1962, was poised for revenge on the team that dismissed him so quickly after his tremendous success previously. In an infamous quote at the Touchdown Club in Miami, New York Jet quarterback Joe Namath guaranteed a Jet victory just 3 days before the big game. A combination of both leagues' officials officiated the contest, but was led by NFL head referee Tom Bell. There was a lot at stake. The Colts were led by 2 dynamic quarterbacks that had 4 NFL regular season MVPs between them. The Colts boasted the second-ranked offense in points scored and top-ranked defense in points allowed, with 144, tying the then record. With 4 elite defensive backs who combined had an incredible 22 interceptions during the regular season and had dominated an NFL league unfamiliar with the zone defense. Many believe the Baltimore Colts were the greatest team ever assembled. The game was a foregone conclusion, but the Jets quarterback guaranteed victory in the third annual AFL-NFL World Championship game. We're going to win the game. I guarantee it. Super Bowl III. The Jets received the football, but ultimately punted on their first possession. On the Colts' ensuing drive, they missed a field goal. Joe Namath recognized the Colts' defense based on where certain players were lined up, and was able to make the play calls and necessary adjustments at the line of scrimmage. If the Colts stacked on one side of the ball, the Jets ran the opposite way, and vice versa. If the Colts blitzed Namath, he beat them with quick passes. Future Hall of Fame receiver Don Maynard was nursing a pulled hamstring. The Colts rolled coverage his way, unaware of the injury, and Maynard ultimately became the game's biggest decoy, being targeted 5 times for 0 receptions. Meanwhile, this allowed George Sawyer Jr. to beat his soft coverage, going for 8 catches, 133 yards on 12 targets. Early in the second quarter, Earl Morrall began to unravel, throwing his first of 3 red zone interceptions. This one a tip ball that was picked in the end zone. The turnover resulted in a Jet drive capped off by a Matt Snell touchdown run. For the first time in the history of the Super Bowl, the AFL had the lead. As halftime approached, the Colts found themselves driving the field, but Morrall threw another interception at the Jets' 2-yard line. After a Jet punt, the Colts ran a trick play, a flea flicker that wound up in a 3rd interception. If there was ever a Colts sailboat, the wind was taken out of it here. The halftime score was the Jets 7, the Colts 0. The halftime entertainment included the Florida A&M University Band. Matt Snell rushed for over 4 yards a carry and kept the Colts off the field by carrying the football 30 times for 121 yards in the game and the lone second quarter touchdown for the Jets. He also added 4 receptions for 40 yards. 2 third-quarter field goals improved the lead to 13-0 for the New York Jets. By late in the third quarter, Earl Morrall's ghastly 71-yard, 3-interception, and 9.3 quarterback rating performance was replaced by 3-time league MVP and future Hall of Fame quarterback Johnny Unitas. However, the quarterback went 3 and out on his first drive. The Jets were able to increase their lead to 16 before Unitas threw an interception of his own, a 4th interception for the Jets defense, all coming when the Colts were poised to score, made the most significant impact on the game. Johnny Unitas finished 11 of 24 for 110 yards and an interception. For the Colts, it was too little, too late. Tom Matty ran for 116 yards, but those numbers were skewed as one early game carry was for 58 yards alone. And future Hall of Fame Baltimore Colt tight end John Mackey was rendered ineffective. Jerry Hill scored the only Colt touchdown late in the contest. Despite Snell and Sawyer Jr. both having magnificent performances, the New York Jets were ultimately led by quarterback Joe Namath. Aided by his familiarity of AFL zone coverage defenses, he went 17 of 28 for 206 yards on the day. Namath's play calls, game management, and decision-making led him to be named the first touchdown-less Super Bowl MVP, who didn't throw a single pass in the fourth quarter. In quite possibly the most historically important American football game ever played, the New York Jets proved to the world that they were not an inferior team, and they proved that the AFL was not an inferior league. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time a new Super Bowl video comes out. Thanks a lot.